This happened decades ago, long before I was born. A story told in my family like a legend. Back when my mom and aunts were kids, life was simple. Small town, dirt roads, a house surrounded by fields. That night, my grandparents had taken the kids to visit my grandpa's brother. It was late when they drove home, the kind of quiet where the only sounds are crickets and the hum of tires on gravel. The porch light was off. The sky was a deep, endless black. As the car headlights swept across the yard, my grandpa noticed something. The back door of the house was slightly open, and my grandpa was not the kind of man to forget locking a door. He stopped the car and just sat there for a second, staring at that door. My grandma asked softly, "Did you leave that open?" He shook his head once. "No. Stay here." Without another word, he stepped out. The night air was cold. Still, he could feel it. The kind of silence that presses on your chest. He drew his pistol from the glove. Compartment. The metal felt heavier than usual. Every step toward the door sounded like thunder in his ears. Inside the house was pitch black. No lights. No sound, just the faint smell of something. Wrong. He'd only taken a few steps into the hallway when he saw it. A shape crouched in the corner near the kitchen. At first, he thought it was a cat, but it was too big, way too big. It wasn't moving, but somehow it was aware of him. He said it was darker than the darkness itself, like it didn't reflect the flashlight beam at all, just a solid living shadow. And then, without warning, it charged. He didn't think. He just reacted. Bang. The gunshot tore through the silence, the sound bouncing off the walls. He fired again, and again, point-blank range, but the thing didn't stop, didn't even flinch. It rushed past him. A blast of cold air, like the space around it was freezing. The back door slammed open, and it was gone into the night. Outside, my grandma and the kids had seen it too. A massive, black figure darting from the doorway into the fields, fast, silent, almost sliding across the ground. My mom, who was maybe 8 at the time, remembers my grandma screaming, "Get back in the car." They locked the doors and watched from the headlights as my grandpa came running out. He checked every room, every window. Nothing. No blood. No damage. Just the lingering sense that something unnatural had stood there moments ago. When dawn broke, he went outside to look for tracks. The ground was damp from dew, perfect for footprints. But there was nothing. No prints, no blood, no sign anything had ever been there. For a man like my grandpa, practical, no nonsense. That was the hardest part. He wasn't scared of anything he could understand. But how do you fight something that shouldn't exist? And here's where the revenge comes in. Because after that night, my grandpa changed. He made sure the locks were stronger. The lights stayed on. He started keeping his gun cleaned, loaded and within reach, not out of fear, but out of defiance. He refused to let that thing, whatever it was, take his peace. Every creak at night, every rustle outside, he'd get up, stand tall, and face it, head on. It was like he was daring the darkness to try again, and it never did. That was his revenge. Not bullets or violence, but the victory of never surrendering to fear. To this day, my grandpa says he doesn't know what it was. An animal? A spirit? Something else entirely? He just knows it didn't belong in his house. And every time he told that story, he'd end the same way. Whatever it was, it learned one thing. You don't mess with a man protecting his family. That's the kind of courage that sticks in your bloodline. That night, he didn't just protect his family. He taught us that bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's walking into the dark anyway. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button. Tell us in the comments what you think Grandpa saw that night, and what you would have done if it was your family in that car. And if you love stories where courage beats fear, subscribe for more real-life tales that prove light always wins against the dark.